you always known that you're on a soul path? And have you wondered how to gain real insight into the steps along your own unique journey? Welcome everyone, I'm Sarah Main, and thank you for joining me on Damayanti, the show for your soul. It's great to have you join me. Damayanti means deep peace and calm. Damayanti sheds a light for your soul through the gift of wisdom that shines in the beautiful and universal language of Sanskrit. Damayanti is the show that speaks to your soul, connects with your soul, and enriches your soul. Welcome everyone. Welcome along to Damayanti, the show for your soul with me, Sarah Main. Hey, it's great to have you along. And today we're going to be talking about the monkey mind. Is it a problem child or a faithful friend? I'm sure you've all heard about the monkey mind. It's everywhere. If you just do a quick web search on monkey mind, ka-ching, you'd be there for hours reading everything. The monkey mind was a sort of a term coined decades ago. When I started learning on my spiritual journey, I was young. The term monkey mind wasn't really around, but it developed over time. It started coming on the scene, especially around the world of mindfulness training. And yeah, we've got to sort of have a good attitude about the monkey mind. So the monkey mind, problem child or faithful friend. And look, there's 1,001 tricks of the monkey mind. And the reason I sort of thought I'll talk about this in this show was there's a guy I know, and he was having he was having problems sort of dealing with the monkey mind. He's becoming aware of the monkey mind. This is the ceaseless chatterbox in our head that's sort of distracting us with hopes and dreams and fears and resentments. And if you take a moment to actually come into the present moment, you are aware that there is this chatterbox in our head all the time that's actually running the show. And it's been termed the monkey mind because it jumps from one thing to another. You can see something and then that immediately then, oh, I remember that from childhood. And then, oh, that connects with something someone said yesterday. And oh, that was related to dinner I had 3 weeks ago with friends. And before you know it, this monkey mind has weaved this web, this dream web. It's a spell, actually. And it is this sort of loosely woven, made up of loose associations and so-called connections from one thing to another. And it forms this dream web of sleep. And this is going on all the time until we become aware of it. And then it's even, in a sense, it's even worse because you see what's been going on and we weren't aware of it. So this monkey mind, okay, and it's the ceaseless chatter, and it appears to be in our head. It isn't actually, but it appears we often experience it in our head, in the head area, and it's distracting, you know, and there's hopes and dreams, and then the other side of it is fears and resentments and anger and this and that, and it's always oppositional sort of thinking. It's one thing, then the other. The good, then the bad, the up, then the down, the hot, then the cold, the night, then the day, the light, then the dark, then the light, right? It's always presenting oppositional things. So you're never able to settle. So that's the monkey mind. But the issue is the monkey mind, and part of the problem is seeing the monkey mind as a problem, all right? Seeing the monkey mind as an enemy. Experiencing the monkey mind like a problem child. In other words, setting up some sort of resistance to the monkey mind, okay? It is there. We are aware of it. Sometimes it's quieter than others, but sometimes it's just all over the place, right? And we can set up a resistance to this, all right? So the solution and the counterintuitive thing to do is to awaken the amazing power of reason and discernment. As a human being, we are blessed with a faculty of reason and discernment, all right? And Reason and discernment is not some sort of dry intellectual thing. It can be referred to as the intellect, but it isn't dry and intellectual. Reason and discernment is present all the time. It is part of the faculty that we have. It is a glorious part of what makes us a magnificent human being, or allows us to play this part of a human being. We are a spiritual entity, actually. But in terms of fulfilling the sort of magnificence of this human form, the power of reason and discernment is there, but it gets clouded over. All right. So this monkey mind, this mental faculty, is a great servant, but it's a terrible master. And all too often we allow it to run the show. Okay. Now, my spiritual teacher, would be very funny, always described the mind. He didn't use the term monkey mind. That wasn't really around then. He just described it as the mind. As he said, it's like allowing the office boy to run the company. He said the office boy's job, in fact, is to sweep the floor and tidy the shelves and empty the bins and make the tea, right? Not to sit in the boss's chair in his office with his feet up on the desk smoking cigars, right? And to be honest with you, you've got to take that analogy. It's actually really good, because that's often what we're doing when we find we are at the behest of this distracted, chattery monkey mind. All right. We're allowing the office boy to try and run the company. In other words, to be the master rather than the servant. And the mind is a magnificent servant, but it's a terrible master. So how do you put the monkey mind, this mind, in its proper place? Well, there's a story. And I think it's probably one of the ways this term monkey mind has come about in society, especially once the sort of whole world and industry around being mindful and mindfulness arose a few decades ago. There's a story called The Monkey and the Bamboo Pole, and there's various versions of this, but this is the one that I learned, and it's one of the traditional ones. So there was this master, and there was this farmer. There was a farmer, and he had this beautiful farm, and he had a family, and he was very busy all the time. Really hard to keep up with running the farm and all the animals and all the things to do with it. And, you know, the people that worked on the farm and looking after his family and fulfilling everything. And he thought, I just need something to help. I need some help. And what turned up was this monkey who said, I can help you. It's a story. The monkey talks, okay? I can help you. I'll do anything you want, and I'm really good. I'll do anything. But there's a catch to this deal. You have to keep me occupied all the time. Otherwise, I'll kill you. I'll cause havoc, and that havoc will kill you. All right. And he said, okay, that sounds fantastic. Great. So he had all these jobs. So he'd say, go and do this on the farm, and the monkey would go back, done. And then he had another job, he'd gone, done, back. And this went on and on and on for some period of time, getting all this work done. It was absolutely fantastic. But then he started running out of work, and he remembered the deal. He had to keep this monkey occupied. Otherwise, you know, the monkey said he would cause havoc, and the havoc would kill him. Okay. So what did he do? He was desperate. He spent his whole time, now his full-time job, was trying to find jobs and tasks for the monkey. And he was coming up with all sorts of random things, trying to keep this monkey busy, because he could do all the normal day-to-day tasks really easily. But then he's, you know, what was he going to do the rest of the time? So the farmer sat down and thought, I know, I've got an idea. So he considered the situation, came up with a brilliant plan. So the monkey turns up. He's done everything that day. He said, go out to the forest, the jungle, and find a 10-foot pole of bamboo, piece of bamboo. So he did that, came back. He said, right, now smooth it all off. So it's really smooth, which he did. He did that, done. He said, right now, dig a big hole and set this 10-foot pole in the ground vertically. So done, because the monkey never questioned the jobs. He just did them. So done. So now you imagine this smooth 10-foot pole, right, in the ground. And then the farmer said, the master said, right, if I don't give you a job, here's the instruction. If I don't give you a specific job to do around the farm, you're to spend your time going up and down that pole until I tell you to stop or I give you another job. All right? So get the scene. He said, unless I give you a specific job to do, then your job is to go climb up and down that pole without stopping. Brilliant. The farmer was free. The monkey was fully occupied 24/7. The farmer had the help that he needed, and he could attend to the things that only he could do, or he wanted to do, and the monkey was fully occupied, right? Great. And this went on for some time, right? The monkey doing whatever he was told to do, and then in between time going up and down the pole, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then eventually the monkey he got more and more tired because he didn't stop. And eventually he got so tired, he went to his master, the farmer, and said, you win. I give up. I surrender. I will sit next to you and I will wait. And when you give me a job to do, I will do it. And the rest of the time, I will sit and wait quietly next to you. And I will be ever present for you, but I will not run around and create havoc. And that is the story. And there is the whole bit of instruction we need in there about how to deal with the monkey mind. And there's a few questions to consider in that. The important bit really is at the end of the story. The important part is, what is the pole? What does the pole signify? Because obviously the monkey refers to this mind that we know just runs around and weaves this dream world of made up of loose associations from the past and can project into this so-called future to create anxiety, and then the past. So it only operates in the past and the future. It doesn't operate in the present. So what does this pole introduce? What does this pole really mean? I'm going to take a break, and after the break, I'm going to address this, and we're going to talk about some practical steps to awaken reason. I'm going to talk about reason, this magnificent power of reason and discernment that we have. And we need to deploy this. It needs to be activated, because this is the true master of the servant, the mind. So reason, discernment, and intellect, used properly, is the true master of the mind. The mind is the servant. And we're going to find out how to do that after the break. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Damayanti, the show for your soul. And today's show is on the monkey mind. Is it a problem child or a faithful friend? And before the break, I was relating the story of the monkey and the bamboo pole. There are versions of it around in different traditions, but the monkey and the bamboo pole was the one that I was taught. And really the question is, at the end of the story, the important thing to address is, what is the pole? And the pole introduces the whole practical part of all of this. What can we practice? And remember, to form a new habit takes 12 to 15 times, minimum 12 to 15 times a day of conscious repetition of a new habit, a good habit, for a minimum of 28 days for that new habit to be formed, albeit in a sort of in its infancy, but from there it can grow, but it is there. And remember, the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita says no effort on this path is ever lost, on this path to enlightenment, actually, but that involves also these forming new habits, good habits, uplifting positive habits. No effort is ever lost, despite if it seems a bit clouded over, what you have done isn't lost. So what does the pole mean in this story of the monkey and the bamboo pole? What does the pole represent? Okay, so this is the practical steps to awakening reason. And we start with falling still and observing, taking a deep breath, like now, and letting go, breathing out, letting go, and falling still and being present here and now. Not referring to the past and not projecting into the future, just being here and now, present. And in that stillness, just observing the body, observing the mind, the words, the thoughts, the movements, observing the feelings playing through, because the feelings rise and fall like waves on a beach, on an ocean. They rise and they fall, and they fall back again, and they rise again, fall back. So that's the first step, is to be present. Now, it's important that it's not your job to control the monkey mind, this distracted, discursive mind. It's not your job. The mind, this monkey mind, is not your servant. This monkey mind is the servant of reason. That is the intellect, and that's not some dry thing, okay? The monkey mind is the servant of reason. It is the servant of the enlightened mind, all right? In Sanskrit, it's called the buddhi. The buddhi is the reasoning faculty, all right? Buddhi is the servant of the faculty of discernment, of reason, of the intellect, of the enlightened mind, the buddhi in Sanskrit. In my book, I talk about this. There's a section, I explain it, fill it out in more detail. Go to my book. So the mind, the monkey mind, is the servant of the reason. The reason is the master. The monkey mind is the servant of the enlightened mind, the buddhi. The buddhi is the master. The monkey mind is the servant of this faculty of discernment. This is the master. It's not your job. Your job is watching all of that take place. All right, we are perfectly designed for all of that to take place. So note also in the story of the monkey and the bamboo pole that the master doesn't run around trying to tie up the monkey and control the monkey. In fact, he stops and considers the situation when he's running out of work, and he knows the deal that if the monkey's left unattended and unoccupied, he's going to create havoc which will kill him. Well, of course, the master doesn't want that. So he addresses it. He applies his intelligence to it and asks questions, all right? So, in fact, any effort along these lines of trying to control the monkey mind just energizes it even more, all right? It's like having a naughty dog that's got loose and you're running after it and it's running away from you as you're running and you can't catch it. All right, it just energizes that discursive, distracted element. So let's talk about this buddhi, these characteristics of reason and discernment, all right? It discerns, it discriminates. The word discrimination, discriminate, it's got a bad rap these days. It is an English word and it has good meanings to it, but let's use discernment. It discerns truth from untruth, right? You can just tell straight away. That is this faculty of reason. It evaluates. That means it weighs and measures all the information that this servant, the mind, brings in. The mind brings all this information in from the senses, from the outer world, and you can evaluate. And this is not a dry process. This is, you can just tell straight away. This faculty of reason and discernment decides, all right? It makes decisions based on this information. It also is creative. It can envision a possibility, and then through the power of decision making and resolution, the monkey mind, the mind, will bring about the circumstances that fulfill the vision and make it a manifest reality. So all of this is this power of reason. It's a magnificent, amazing power of reason and discernment, but we need to be present and allow it to operate. You know, when we just take a deep breath, step back, and then see what is the best course of action, and something will present. It's usually quiet and calm. That is the power of reason. It's not dry and intellectual in your head. It's actually from in here. So it is connected to the heart, but it's not being pulled around by all these feelings and emotions. It is present, and it's incredibly powerful. So how do you get the reason awakened out of its sleep state? Because it gets clouded over by this dream web that the mind, this monkey mind, weaves, right? It gets clouded, and it's sort of effectively asleep, but like Sleeping Beauty, just sort of lying there. How do you get it awakened? Well, number one, I will say this, number one is come into the present moment and attend to reality here and now. Basically, mindfulness 101. Take a deep breath, like right now. Breathe out, fall still, and come into the present now. Leave the past and leave any projection into the future. Be present right now. Because reason only operates in the present moment. Obviously, doesn't operate in the past, doesn't operate in the future, because they don't exist. So the reason, in Sanskrit, the buddhi, this faculty of discernment, this intellect, feeds on simple statements of universal truth. Part of the problem that we don't have access to it is because reason's inactivity has come about because it's, one, it's asleep, and two, it's starving. And every element of ourselves needs food, exercise, and rest. Physical body, obviously. But have you thought about the elements of the mind that need food, exercise, and rest as well? What's food? What's nourishment for this faculty of reason? So it's strong, like the body. Feed it well and the body's strong. Okay, well, the reason feeds on simple statements of universal truth. And I've done many shows. I've done a chapter in my book on food, exercise, and rest for all our bodies, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So if you go to my book, there's a whole chapter on it. I've done shows on this, about bringing ourselves into alignment and balance for the whole person, all of you. Because often parts of us are actually starving, right? So food for the intellect, for the reason, for the buddhi, is simple statements of universal truth. For example, from the Bible, love your neighbor as yourself. Repeat that 15 times a day. You will feed your inner reason. Another one from Shakespeare, this above all to thine own self be true. This above all to thine own self be true. Repeat that 15 times a day. Feed yourself with that statement of simple universal truth. Another one, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. In other words, speaking honestly, don't lie. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. From the Ten Commandments, obviously. From Plato, from Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living. Repeat that 15 times. The unexamined life is not worth living. From Justinian, live honestly, harm no one, and render to every man his due. Live honestly, harm no one, and render to every man his due. From the Quran, there should be no compulsion in religion. These are just examples of simple statements of universal truth. They feed the reason. Repeating just one of them throughout the day is calming the monkey mind, and it's teaching the monkey mind to go up and down that pole, because the monkey mind will fulfill that instruction to repeat that statement. That's going up and down the pole. The pole in the story of the monkey and the bamboo pole is the present moment. And those statements can only be repeated in the present moment, not the past or the future. So giving the mind something to repeat is keeping it in the present moment. That's the pole, the present moment. All practices that bring the awareness and the attention back to the present moment are calming and training the mind. And this has the added benefit of allowing the reason and discernment to awaken, repeating one of these timeless, simple statements of universal truth. And it can only be done in the present moment. The reason's natural state is wakefulness, but it has been clouded by the monkey mind, weaving its dreams and nightmares and all of that. So when that stops, however briefly, the reason naturally awakens. So remember, 12 to 15 times a day, consciously for 28 days, try it and support your memory. And to do that, be inspired. Go to my website, damayanti.store, and check out the store. I've got some beautiful jewelry like my necklace, my balam necklace, which this is my energetic reminder. This is my memory support. This is my good company, right? Balam means strength in Sanskrit, power and courage, all right? Or wear something that will remind you. And remember, no effort in this path is ever lost. I've also got an Etsy store, all things eternal, with cool gear, lots of good company statements to keep with you. I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And let's finish off with some beautiful Sanskrit. And it is a beautiful prayer. It is called the Gayatri Mantra, absolutely traditional. And so thank you for joining me, and enjoy this Gayatri Mantra to finish off these beautiful sounds of Sanskrit, these beautiful fine vibrations. So thanks, and all the best to all of you. Body of all, mind of all, spirit of all. May we meditate on the radiance of the inner light. May that self illuminate our thoughts. Peace, peace, peace. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Thank you for spending time with me on Damayanti, the show for your soul. To find out more about Damayanti, or to get my book, Conscious Confidence, Use the Wisdom of Sanskrit to Find Clarity and Success, or to purchase my range of beautiful spiritual jewelry, go to my website, damayanti.store. That's damayanti.store. See you next time.